Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Under the Sportlight. This is the podcast that explores the people who live and breathe professional sport. I'm your host, Phil, and today we're joined by Isabelle Lötscher, one of Switzerland's rising stars in snowboard halfpipe and an Olympian who's quickly making her mark on the world stage, from junior world medals to representing her country in Milan. Welcome, Isa.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for being here. And, to kick us off here, I'd love to know a little bit more about what first drew you to snowboarding specifically.
So my parents made me ski first. So they had the rule that I would need to be at a pretty decent level at skiing first before I get my first snowboarding lesson. But my dad used to snowboard, and I just always thought it looked so cool, so I really wanted to try it. And yeah, then we had a deal that I needed to get down like a black diamond slope with no mistakes on skis. And after I get my first snowboarding lesson, so I was like, okay, let's do it. So we went up there, did it, I crashed, went up there again, did it again, and then they were like, okay, now that was good enough. You get your first snowboarding lesson. Yeah, stuck with it.
Nice. Why skis first? Is it harder than snowboarding?
No, I think my mom and my dad grew up skiing because back in the day, snowboarding wasn't that big. I think and I also still think for my kids, I think it's important you know how to ski. Like, you get used to the whole snow situation. And I also think as an adult, it's really hard to learn how to properly ski. And as a child, on the other hand, I think to get really good, it's really hard, but I think it's easier to put a kid on skis first, because on snowboards, you always crash, and I think you'd really need to be motivated to learn how to snowboard. Otherwise, you're not going to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And, I've tried skiing before.
Mhm.
For me, it was ridiculously difficult. So I tried once and gave up quickly after. So I commend you for being able to ski and then moving on to snowboarding after that. So
Yeah.
I guess it's fair to say that your family did influence you a lot in your early involvement in snow sports.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, my first sport was horseback riding, but my
Okay.
second sport was skiing. Yeah.
Okay. So then growing up between, going to school and training, I'm assuming how do you balance those two things when you have big ambitions? Did you have big ambitions already from an early age?
Um, so I think it was always really my choice if I wanted to snowboard or not. So I think, yeah, I think I kind of did. I don't really remember, to be honest, because it's that long ago. But I know that when at 12 you need to decide which school you go to in Switzerland. I think it's like high school for you guys. So I kind of needed to decide which level of high school I wanted to go, and there was like a sports one, and for me it was super clear that I want to go to the sports school, so that I have the option to be in the mountains, because I live in Zurich. So I went to the mountains at 12, and yeah, started like training more and being in sports schools. And that's also kind of how I balanced it. Like, I did all the sports schools in Davos, also the sports gymnasium. So yeah, there you get like your days for training, like half day school, half days training on snow, and then if you have a competition, you can get off and like go
Right.
snowboarding. And yeah, it's really good.
Right. So it looks like school incentivized you also to be a snowboarder or an athlete, just generally speaking. Um,
Yeah.
at that at that time, did you ever imagine yourself as a kid that you know, go to the Olympics one day?
I think I was really competitive the moment I started competitions. Like, I always want to be good at what I'm doing. So yeah, I think at some point when you get into the sports and competition, you go and watch like the other athletes, and then you're like, oh my God, they went to world champs, they did this and that. I want to be that person at some point. So yeah, I think the moment you get into that, so I guess for me it was around that, like, yeah, 12, 13. I was really like, okay, yeah, I wanna get to the top.
Yeah. Was there anyone specific that you were looking up to at that point to say, I really want to be like that person?
Um, I mean, in 2014 when Yuri won the gold medal for Switzerland, I think that was really when I was like, oh my God, it's so sick. And like now that I know him, I'm like, I think back and I'm like, oh my God, I just know the person that I was so like scared to talk to at some point because it was like this huge idol and you're like this little girl and you're like, oh, should I go say hi? Should I ask for an autograph? And yeah, now you're just like, oh, Yuri, can you help me with that? And he's like, oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
It's like they're all humans. It's just, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, you're a little starstruck, I guess, in the beginning. Maybe one day that the same thing will happen to someone else looking up to you, and then you can also help them, become the best snowboarder they can be.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great.
Yeah. So I read something about you enjoying surfing as well. So now that's weird because in Switzerland, I don't know a lot about it, but do you have a lot of beaches where you can go surfing in Switzerland?
No, no, not really. We're kind of missing that. That would be awesome. I would love that, but no.
So how did you get into surfing?
Um, I got into surfing with one of my close friends from back in days when I was snowboarding. Like, we're both only childs, and our moms are really close. So that's kind of why we went on holidays together and we started surfing. And after that, it kind of became a tradition that we would go surfing like once or twice a year, maybe. Um, but yeah, I never went more than like 2, 3 weeks a year because yeah, it's difficult in Switzerland.
Yeah, where would you go to each country?
I'm sponsored by a surf camp in Somo in Santander, like Surf to Live. It's really nice. So I often go to Spain because of that. I've also been because it's like it's the most convenient. It's also close. So I think I've been the most there, but I've also been to like France and Portugal and also like Indonesia and stuff. So yeah, I love to try out new spots. Like I think it's one thing I love about surfing because for me it's always holidays. So I don't only necessarily go because of the waves, but like I will look at the forecast but also decide on like which country or which yeah, like which culture I would be interested in to see as well.
So you put those two things together and you make the most of it, and then you also have a blast because you love surfing.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
makes sense. Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. And going back to snowboarding a little bit, what made you decide to go for half pipe specifically, between that and the other snowboarding events like big air or slope style, for example?
I used to do all of them, but I also used to get injured a lot on jumps because I tend to take a lot of speed and I'm not that heavy. Like I don't have or I didn't have that much like muscle to protect me. So I broke some bones and then I was like injured and stuff like that. And then it was junior Olympic games, like the Youth Olympic Games in Lausanne, and there the schedule was super tight. So I was talking to my coaches, and they were kind of like, "Hey, look, we think you have a lot of talent in half pipe, so we would put you like into the half pipe event, and you should like focus on that." And after that, I've kind of just like stuck with it. I did like 2 small competitions, I think, after, but like I still like to ride jumps, like there and like if I have time. But honestly the past 2 years, I've been mainly in the half pipe. Yeah.
Mm. No, that makes sense. And you said you're really light, so probably just fly off there, and then you can get really hurt. So I could imagine
Yeah.
that half piping would be better in that situation. You got a podium finish at the World Cup here in Calgary, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. How was that?
That was really cool. It was my first podium ever. And I've gotten fifth before in Calgary as well, like the past 2 years. So I was like really hoping for like yeah, getting on the podium if it's possible. But at the same time I wasn't like expecting it because yeah, like I knew that there was a possibility, but I also knew that I needed to put down like a good run and like yeah, perform. So Yeah, it was really nice. And I love Calgary to ride because it's a night final, so you have a lot of people watching and everyone's so stoked. And then Liz won, like the Canadian snowboarder, I'm sure you know her. So everyone was so excited and it was her first World Cup win, so everyone was so stoked and I was super stoked and it was just yeah, that was really cool. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, well, Canada is big in snowboarding as well. People here love it, and Calgary itself is a um, sort of like a hub here for winter sports and snow sports as well. So yeah, that's cool. And then walk me through then qualifying for to represent Switzerland at the Winter Olympics this year. How did that process start? How was it? And then when did you learn you were going to be in the Olympics?
So for us, it's about the last two seasons. So I had a pretty good season last year. So, regarding my spot that I could ride, from like the Olympic side, I was pretty certain that I would be able to keep my spot. So for me, it was more about qualifying for like the Swiss Olympic, team. And they're also the competitions come from like the past 2 years, and I was super lucky to do really well in the first World Cup of this year. So I qualified with the first World Cup that we had this year. So after that, it was more of like yeah, like getting used to competitions again rather than like having a lot of pressure because I knew I needed another result. So that was pretty nice. I think I was super lucky to have that, because I wasn't like in a rush. And then knowing that I could go, I did know after Locks Open. So before that, it was kind of a gamble. Like I knew I had the qualifications, but I was still a bit nervous because 2 years ago I could have, or 4 years ago, sorry, I could have gone as like a junior and they didn't take me, but I had like a spot. So now that I had a spot, I was a bit like nervous
Oh,
because I didn't
yeah.
know what they were gonna do. But because I had the qualifications, I was positive that it would work out and it did. So I was super happy. Yeah.
Did you, what age does it change from juniors to adult?
It there's not really an age. I think, um, I mean, for me, I think I still kind of counted as a junior. I'm not really sure because I've never been to the Olympics. So from now on, I'm sure not. But like, um, if you go for the first time, I think you still kind of count as a rookie.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. So you're a rookie in that sense. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Well, I assume you're going to try to go to the next one in the
Yeah.
French Alps. Is that where it's going to
Mhm.
be? So what's the
Yeah.
plan for that? Just keep on keeping on?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm more thinking about world champs next year at the moment. Like, I think the Olympics are pretty far ahead still, or just because they just where I'm not like really mentally, but at the next ones. So yeah, I think for me, it's really like, okay, next year's world champs. I want to do well at those. Then we have a 1 year break where you can like really focus on like getting better. And then you have world champs again where you can kind of see where you're standing. And then it's Olympics again. So that's kind of like my mentality at the moment.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you have a big competition next year and then you have a year off. Do you use the year off to sort of prepare new tricks, new stuff, or do you just practice? Like how does it work really when you're in training for a big competition?
That's a really good question. I don't really know what the plan is like of the federation, but like my dream probably would be to do some competitions to like keep the flow kind of going, like to still be used to competing, but maybe do like some competitions beginning of the seasons where there aren't any pipes open anyway, but then like end of the season maybe mellow it out a bit. I don't know, like maybe do like snow league, but like not do all the events because if you do all of them back to back, like I'm not sure how the competition schedule is for the next years, but like this year because of the Olympics it was so packed like I skipped 3 competitions now because I was like, well, it's like too much going on. Like I'm just flying back and forth, and it's like not planned. So you just go home for 5 days and then fly back out to, I don't know, the States again, or yeah, or Japan. Like you're just like going everywhere. So it kind of depends on the schedule. But I'm just hoping I can like really focus on training and having some competitions, but not like focus on competitions.
Yeah, for sure. And is the Olympics any different from other international competitions in the sense that, when you're doing other competitions, not a lot of people, well, a lot of people are watching, but at the Olympics, everyone is watching. Does that make a difference? Like, do you feel more pressure because you're at the Olympics?
Yeah, I think actually that's the main difference there is. Like, I mean, in the end, you're doing what you're doing all the time, like you're snowboarding, which is like, yeah, what you do all the time. I kind of think it's a good way to look at, if you look at it as, for example, you're working every day, right? And then at some day, all the CEOs and all the CFOs and everyone just stands behind your desk and
Yeah,
watches you do what you're doing every day.
yeah,
And you're gonna be way more nervous even though you just
it's the same
know what
thing.
you're doing. Yeah, exactly. So I think it's kind of that vibe that I'm kind of getting from it. Like it's the same thing you do all the time, but everyone just makes it super important, which it is because it's like all 4 years. It's the only title you can get that you get to keep for 4 years, if that makes sense. Like every other thing, like if you win a World Cup, okay, but the next World Cup someone else can win. And then World Champs, it's for 2 years, okay? Like there it's like you're world champion for 2 years, but like Olympic medalist, it's for 4 years and for life. Like no one will, yeah, like that will be something that will be remembered forever if you win an Olympic medal. So I think that's where the pressure comes in, yeah.
Right, yeah, that makes sense. Now, describe to me then the first time you're standing at the top of the half pipe at the Olympics. What's going through your head with all the CEO, CFO people looking at you as you're about to do what you do every day?
Mm, it was the first time we had to ride a pipe for the first time at night, which is generally a bit more scary than day. And usually you ride it in the day and then at some point you have a night training, but there it was like the opposite way. So Um, I was a bit scared at first, but then I talked to some other athletes, and then at some point I like switched my mindset towards, okay, if we get to ride it at night and we can ride it at night, it's going to be so much easier to do it during the day. So in the end, I kind of liked it. And it was really warm, luckily. Like, if it was cold, it would have been a different story. But it was so warm that it wasn't icy. So it was actually pretty mellow. And yeah, you were standing at the top. And first run, I was a bit like, oh, like, hopefully this works because this has to work. Like, I need to be able to ride this half pipe. There's no other way. But then after I dropped in, I was a bit like, oh yeah, I still know how to ride a half pipe. I think we're okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do it every day, so it's just a little bit
Yeah.
different. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. I didn't know that. I guess I didn't realize, but it makes sense that if it's colder or warmer, the condition of the half pipe also changes, right? What the
Yeah.
snow is doing and
Yeah.
all that. So if it's really cold, it's icy, is that harder to then ride in that condition?
Um, it depends on how icy we're talking, to be honest. I think it's more of a mental aspect. Like if you have a lot of clouds, it's dark, everything's just a bit more scary. Like, yeah, same as if you go outside and there's sun, like it's just so friendly. Same for the half pipe. And I think if it's a bit softer, it's nicer to do new tricks, but it's not necessarily easier. Like, if you have a lot of slush, it can even be harder. Like, I think a nice pipe that is firm, like not icy, but like I don't know, like -5, I think it might be prime.
Perfect.
But
Yeah.
I prefer spring to do new tricks when it's like +5, because you're like,
Mm.
oh, if I felt it, it doesn't hurt. Yeah.
Right. Right, so you're trying something new. It's better to be nice and soft if you fall. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, okay, what's your greatest memory from the Olympics that you've been to?
Um, so at first I was really bummed about my result that I had. Also probably because all of my family and friends were there, I kind of really wanted to show something good, and it would have been so cool to like perform amazing. Um, but then after we went like for lunch, and I just kind of realized that they don't care if I did well or bad. They were just so happy to be there, and I think that was really nice to see, or it like really, yeah, it really lifted me up after that, because I was so sad after, like right after. But then when we were eating and I saw that, I was kind of like, oh, okay, it's not the end of the world for them, so I think it also shouldn't be for me, you know? Like, yeah. It's one competition, it's a really important one for sure, but it doesn't only define you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm sure that your family and friends would have been just as proud whether you did great or whether you didn't do as good, considering also 99.999% of all the people in the world will never get to do what you just did. So that's pretty cool. So that's really a moment to be proud of. And so now, can you tell me a little bit about what are what are they looking for when you're going on and doing your tricks? What are the things that they're giving you points for, or taking points off for?
So they look for amplitude, so like how high you go. That's like one thing where you can get a lot of points. Then like difficulty. So if you do more spins, less sprints, different axes also get more points, like if you go over your head or yeah, whatever. Um, and then like creativity also, you can get points for that. Like if everyone does the same run, it's like, okay, this is kind of basic. And then if someone does like something insanely different, everyone's going to be like, oh, this is so cool. Um, and you can also, or you also get points for like how clean it was. Like if you land on your right edge, if you had a hand in the snow, something like that. And then like flow and stuff like that, like overall impression also counts into it. Like if, I don't know, like if you lost a lot of amplitude towards the end, if your run looked nice, yeah, if it was just beautiful to watch, or if it was like trying to survive from one hit to the other. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, here's a question. Do you have already your whole performance sort of planned in your head as you're going into it? Or as you're watching other people go, you change your mind, say, no, I'm going to do something else? Or is it all just in the moment, you decide what you're going to do, you're about to go off, and then this is what I'm going to do right now?
No, like you usually know your plan even before you go to the competition. Like you kind of know where you're going to, or like you you don't necessarily know your entire run, but you kind of know what your dream run would be, and then you go from there. Like you have training, you see how you feel. um Competition day, you know all your possible runs, and then the thing comes in play where you're like talking to your coach and he watches the others and he's like, okay, look, I think we need this trick, or I think we're good without it. And this can be very last minute, but you for sure always know what you're gonna do when you drop in. But it could be that you switch it before you drop, yeah.
Right. Would there ever be a time when you go in, you do a trick, but you don't land necessarily the right way to get the speed that you need for your next one that you were planning, and then you have to, at that point, change your plan mid-run because you won't be able to land the next trick?
Um, yes, but I think usually you always try, or naturally try, to still get it around. So probably the speed issue can happen, I think, like that you're like, okay, I'm not gonna do this trick, I'm just gonna do like the easier version of it. But like landing the wrong way on accident and then still completing a full run, I think in half pipe it's very rare that you see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's your favorite trick to ride and what makes it special?
I think a method error, like a big method error. I think it's for me, it's kind of like the ID card of a rider. Like if a rider has a really good method, I'm like, okay, this is cool. So it's also really important for me that I personally like my method, and I think it's also been something actually I've been working on. Like if someone comes up to me and they're like, "Oh, you have a nice method," I'm like, "Thank you. This makes me
Nice.
like really happy." I also like other tricks, but I don't think anything's is more like OG as like a method. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now moving a little more into the technique and the mentality that goes into it. What does usually a typical training week look like for you as you're preparing for a big competition?
Um, it really depends on where we're based or where the competition is. Like if we're at home, um, like right now I'm kind of preparing for a competition because we have Snow League in 1.5 weeks. So right now I'm trying to figure out all my tricks that I wanted to do in Snow League. Um, that's what you usually do anyway. Like you try to do your run again, get all your tricks out of the way, kind of. Um, and then, yeah, at some point you will like take a break and maybe do some gym, like trying to get your body ready again and like recharged. Take some time off. Yeah, just enjoy. And then you have training for the competition or travel, depending on where you're going. And then you have like usually 2 or 3 days of training, and then you have competition.
Yeah. How often do you come up with new tricks that you've never done before, and how do you prepare a new trick that you haven't landed before?
Um, so sadly during competition like season kind of, it's really difficult to find the time to learn new stuff. Um, so that's kind of why I'm not writing comps right now because I'm trying to figure out some new stuff. Um, and usually you look at a lot of videos until you can like see it and visualize it. And then you just visualize it a bunch until you feel confident and you can see it from different perspectives, like from inside, from outside, from different angles. And yeah, then you just kind of have to go and try it. Yeah.
Go,
And see
yeah,
if it
go and do your
works.
best, see if it works.
Yeah. Like sometimes there are like build-ups that you can do like trick-wise, but sometimes there are just not. Sometimes you just need to like send it and then see how it goes and then go from there. Yeah.
Have you ever had a time or an experience where you're trying to do a new trick and it does not land and it's not going right? What motivates you in that situation to then keep going, keep trying, even though it's not going the way you were expecting it to go?
Um,
Or does it never happen for you? Do you just go and you land it right then and you're good?
no, for sure not. I think it's important to not be too hard on yourself because it's really normal that you have a day where it's just not working, where it's mentally not working, where you just don't feel like it. And you also need to be able to say that that's okay if that happens, like it's not the end of the world. Usually I kind of try to get out of that with like maybe taking a step back and doing something that could help me getting there. So it still feels productive in a way of like the whole situation going into the right direction. Um, and then you just try to work through. But I think all of the freestyle riders have a thing for like the adrenaline when they land something new. I think that's one of the reasons we do or we love our sport. So you always kind of have the thrill of like, oh, but imagine if you would land it now, you know? And that really pushes you towards, okay, I really want to do that.
And I'm sure the feeling of actually getting it right is really nice for the first time.
Yes, yes, 100%.
Yeah. Do you, when you're going into a competition, do you have any personal sort of, rituals that you do before going on? Like, do you listen to music? Or like, what do you do to get your mind sort of ready and in the right space?
I listen to a lot of music. I listen to super loud music, actually. Like, my coach needs to give me a clap when I can drop in because I don't hear the starter that tells you that you can go. Um, so I'm pretty sure that's like my biggest thing. And I will visualize my run. So yeah, I will go through my run like 2, 3 times. Also talk through it with my coach. He'll be like, okay, this trick and then I would say the next trick, and he'd be like, and then. So it kind of like go through the whole run together, and then I would visualize it again on my own, and yeah, then put music on and don't hear anything.
Do you go through the pipe listening to music as well, even in competition, or
Yes.
is it just before? Ah,
No,
nice.
no, but you don't hear it. The moment you hear the music in a run, you know something's wrong. Or I at least know because you don't usually hear the music. You hear it at the start and at the end, but the moment you drop in, you're like in a different like
Focused.
zone. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be cool to experience. Even though there is music playing, you don't even hear it because you're so in the zone.
Yeah.
Um, have ever there been moments for you where you doubted yourself or doubted what you were doing, and if so, how did you push through?
Yeah, for sure. I I had a pretty big injury in my foot, and I was riding on medications for 3 years. Um And after that, it was like COVID year, I think. And there I was really like contemplating if snowboarding is what I can continue doing because I didn't know how my foot would turn out. Um, and yeah, then I just tried to work through like mentally and be like, okay, like I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm not gonna be like in this mind zone kind of being like, oh, it's not working, but kind of like trying to shift it towards it will work. Um, so yeah, I think a lot of pushing through is in the mindset, to be honest. I think the moment you can shift your mindset, the rest's gonna follow.
Say your foot was not going to get better. You have to do something else. What would Isa be doing right now if not snowboarding?
I mean, I came from horseback riding, like this was my choice, like horseback riding or snowboarding. So that was always kind of an option. Or I thought that maybe I would do like an exchange here and surf more and see if I could get anywhere in surfing. These were like my two things, but I really wanted to stay in a sport. Like I really wanted to be an athlete. So for me, it wasn't like about I either snowboard or I do nothing. I tried to like if I would have needed to switch from snowboarding, I would have wanted to switch to another sport, not to something else. Yeah.
Right, that makes sense. Okay, now I can move into a little bit about the financial economical side of the sport. I suspect snowboarding is an expensive sport, with all the gear that you need and everything else. So tell me a bit about what role the financial supporters that you have play in your journey, and a little bit about sponsorship. How do you get sponsors in your sport, and how do you make yourself a good investment for the people that are investing in you?
Um, Good question. So I was really lucky that my parents supported me for a really long time. Um, when I went to Davos, there was a sports store that supported me as well. um with like boards. That was like my first sponsor, and then I got like the contact over him from like the European manager of the board brand that I was riding, and kind of like this I got my first sponsors. And then like my bigger sponsors, they reached out to me and asked if I would ride for them. So yeah, I think sadly, social media is playing a bigger and bigger role. Like, it's not only about how you perform, it's a lot about how you sell yourself, which I don't always like necessarily, to be honest, because I think it takes a lot of chances away from people that maybe don't want to show their life as much. on socials. Um, but in general, it's also a really big chance because if you do get a following at some point, you can get a lot of money off from it, which is money that probably the earlier generations couldn't get at all. But at the same time, again, you get maybe less prize money or stuff like that. So it's a really difficult question, to be honest. But I was just really lucky, or I still am really lucky with my sponsors. I could, or most of my sponsors discovered me, or I asked them when I was pretty young, and I was able to stay with them. So I have a really good relationship with all of my sponsors, which is amazing. And it also makes it a lot easier for me to work with them because I'm not constantly searching for new opportunities. It's more that I want to keep the ones that I have. So I think it's really important for maybe for the younger kids to, yeah, just reach out and see if you can get anything, and maybe don't switch around all the time. Like, I think loyalty is something that gets valued really strongly as well. So if they don't value you, like, leave straight away. Like, don't stay with a brand that promises you something all the time and never gives it to you, because that's also nothing good. But if for some reason there's a year that maybe sales weren't as good, like, just stick around and they will remember that you did that. So I think, yeah, I think relationships with your sponsors can help you a lot, also with the financial aspect.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like you said, it's a different world, a new world where you have to, almost you have to put yourself out there. You can't just ride and go on your merry way. You have to post on social media and be out there and go out of your way to talk to people and convince people also to come and support you. But sometimes you also, I you might call it lucky, but it's not lucky because of everything that you've been doing. People see you, and then when they see you, they want to support you. So it's hard work as well. Opportunities come up, and yeah, it's amazing
Yeah.
that you've been able to get so many um, good people and good sponsors financially backing you.
Yeah. Yeah, also for Europe, I'm like really lucky. I think freestyle sports are way bigger in the States or Canada, for example. Like, because we have ski racing and like ice hockey as winter sports, and then like football in summer. So I think we're such a niche sport in Switzerland or in Europe that, like, to find sponsors, it also makes it harder. And I think the moment you have all your goods together, like all your hard good sponsors, it's really important to reach out to like super random brands, or like, yeah, maybe a bakery, a local bakery, or I don't know, like, for actually money. Yeah. And I'm super lucky with Helvetia, like they don't have anything to do with snowboarding, so it's like, yeah, it's just try to get all the resources that you can, and then I think you'll manage. Yeah.
No, that's really cool. We're almost done. I'm gonna let you go, as I know I want to be respectful of your time. But I'd also love to, before we do that, learn a little bit more about who you are outside of the sport. Okay, so I know that sport is 100% part of your life, and you probably can't see yourself in any way without it. But when you're spending time off of the snow, or the waves, or the horses, what are you doing on your free time?
I mean, if you take away the surfing and the horseback riding, there's not that much left.
That's all you're doing, yeah.
So yeah, no. I mean, I like to draw, like that's something that I do that maybe does not involve sports. I think that's really fun. Sometimes I also just listen to music, and I like baking and cooking, so that's also something that I just do if I'm bored. I like, because I like painting, I also like painting my nails, so that also something I sometimes do for fun. Um, and then, like any other sport, honestly, like, I don't know, I just like going to do like side quests with my friends. Like, I don't know, go jump off some cliffs, or hike up a mountain, or I don't know, what did we do the last time? Oh, or like stuff like bowling, billiard, like just like fun games and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that's really cool.
Anything fun? Well, you were saying that you like to bake, and you were talking about, being supported by a bakery. What's your favorite thing to bake or cook that you can do that someone will taste and go like, that's really good?
Um, it's a really good question. I like doing like everything that involves chocolate because I love chocolate. So, I like to do brownies. I think that's something really easy, and it's like, yeah, it's really yummy, and it
Delicious.
also kind of fills you up. Yeah. So I like these, and then like Brunsli, but that's like a Swiss um thing I think to do. Or Vogelhoi, that's also Swiss, but it's like with croissants and
Oh,
like
okay.
plums that were in wine for super long. Also really good. Yeah. I think these are like my favorites.
Okay, I don't even know what those are, but they sound really good, and I'm getting hungry
Yeah.
right now, so I'm gonna have to look them up.
Yeah, I can send you the names.
Yeah, and I see if I can find a Swiss bakery or something here in Canada. See if I can get some of those treats.
Good question. Yeah.
And so now looking into the future, how do you define success for yourself? Looking for the next competitions that you're going to do, what would you say is something that if you achieved or if you did, you would be happy? That's my main goal right now.
I mean, for this season till now, I was really looking for good results that like on paper as well. But I think for the next few competitions, my focus is really on trying to improving my snowboarding and showing something that I really want to show. So a successful competition for me now would be like going down the mountain and being stoked on my riding, being stoked on what I did. Um, and I'm not really looking for a result right now, to be honest. I know that sounds weird because I think if I can show my best riding and my new riding, the result will come. But I'm not trying to play it safe just for the result. Yeah. Like I rather crash 2 times and have no result than not even try it. Yeah.
Right. No, that's cool. Well, Isa, before I let you go, I do have one last thing I'd like to do. We do have this segment here on the show. It's called Quick Fire, okay? I'm sure you've done this before, but I'll just give you two
Okay.
options and you
Mhm.
have to choose one. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so if you're ready, here's Quick
Mhm.
Fire.
It's quick fire time!
Early morning or a late night?
Late night.
Powder day or perfect half pipe?
Perfect powder day.
Surfing or snowboarding?
Snowboarding.
After a cold day on the mountain, coffee or hot chocolate? I know your answer to this one. Coffee or
Hot
hot chocolate?
chocolate. I don't drink coffee.
Oh, there you go. So I knew what your answer was going to be just because of chocolate.
Yeah.
And I also know the answer to the next one, I think. As a good Swiss, cheese fondue or chocolate fondue?
Chocolate. I don't like cheese.
Oh, look at you. And you're
Yeah.
Swiss? How can you not like
Yeah.
cheese?
Yeah. I mean mozzarella, but that doesn't count. Everyone tells me that doesn't count.
It does not. No, it has to be some really good Swiss cheese.
Yeah, no. No, no.
Road tripping or flying somewhere.
Road tripping if there's time.
Okay. Carry on only or overpacker.
Overpacker.
I also feel like I know the answer to this one. Music while training or total silence.
Music.
Watching other snowboarders or watching other sports.
Watching other snowboarders.
Okay, city life or small town mountain life.
City.
Rewatching your runs or forgetting them and moving on.
It depends on the day.
Depends on how good of a run it was.
Yes.
Okay,
If
if
it
it was
was
a
a good day,
good run, yeah.
good run, rewatch it.
Okay.
Yeah. Shitty day, we forget about it. Yeah.
All right, and the last one, winning with your best run overall or winning with a last-minute comeback run?
Best run.
Amazing. Well, Isa, I do appreciate your time and willingness to come on the show.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Yeah, if you want to let people know your socials or where they can follow your journey as you get ready for the next Olympic cycle.
I mean, my Instagram's Isa.Lötscher if you want to follow. But yeah, that's kind of the only socials I use.
Nice. Well, awesome. Thank you so much again,
Yeah,
Isa. I
thank
really
you.
appreciate you. And to everyone else who took the time to listen, I really appreciate you as well. Thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you next time on Under the Sportlight.